Uncle Knackers here for video 3, the final of the series on how to knock up a rustic, beachy kitchen table without any complicated joinery and just using some recycled timbers. In the last video we did the clamping and the gluing and so forth, but now it's ready. It's all ready to roll, to sand and to put some paint on it. Now for a first crack, to tell you the truth, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So let's have a look. Well, here she is. Doesn't look too bad. Looks nice and rustic. She's fairly sturdy. Actually, I should say it's very sturdy. I've still got to take a few things off it yet. They're old door catches, I think. There's one down there as well. And there's the top. I'm just going to give it a good old sand. Like that. Now the process I'm going to use is this. I'm going to start off by giving it a sand. I'll kick off with a 120 grit paper to get all the rough edges off and to get it reasonably smooth, and then I'll finish off with a 180 grit sandpaper. I'm just using my old Black & Decker sander, Orbital Sander. She's seen better days, the old girl, but she'll do the job. That piece there is missing, but not to worry, that'll be fine. So once it's all sanded, I'll brush it off so it's nice and clean and smooth. Then I'll apply a couple of these finishes here. Just brush them on first. It's a tealy colour there and a whitish sort of colour there. And I'll brush them on, and then as soon as I brush it, I'll then get my rag and I'll do a rag finish like that. Once that's been done, then I'll come back and I'll sand it again very, very lightly with my 180, and then once that's all nice and dry, then I'll get my Polyurathane. It's a clear, it's an oil satin, and I'll go over the top of the whole lot, and hopefully we'll have a very nice product. But anyway, we'll see how we go. No more chatter, let's get sanding. See ya. Oh, one more thing that I should clear up. When I said that the Polyurathane is an oil, I mean an oil-based polyurethane. So it's not an oil like you oil your deck. This is a polyurethane product. Just thought I'd better get that in case you guys whacked on some just oil. Okay, hope that cleared things up. Well, here it is. It's all been sanded. We started with the 120 paper, got most of the rust off, and then finished with the 120 paper, and now it's as smooth as a baby's bum, just like glass. Feels fantastic. So the next thing we need to do is to get our paint, our teal and our white, and just brush that on in just a slapdash random method. And as soon as you finish brushing it on, get your rag and just rub over the top. Just give it a sort of a whitewashy sort of look. When that's done, we'll let it dry, and then we'll sand areas off that we want sanded off and leave areas on that we want to leave on. It's going to be pretty exciting. Let's give it a go. Moment of truth. We've got our off-white, and that's our teal in there. So I'll put the white on first and see how we go. Like I said, just haphazardly, just put it on. I don't really care where it goes. Just get it on there. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing up. It's drying pretty quick in this windy weather out here today. So get it on. Don't be too fussy. That. There you go, it's nearly all done. Just over here. And a bit. And whoop. There. across the ends. I'm not doing the legs or the rails, just doing the top. Like I said, this goes on like this, and then when it all dries and so forth, then I'll sand it back again. Okay, I reckon that'll just about do for the white. There you go. Now I'll get my, I've actually wet this rag a bit. I've wrung it out. It's virtually dry. So just run that over the top. Like that. Now I'll give it this sort of a white washy look. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'll just give it a little time to dry. Then we'll come back and put the teal on. Okay, it's now time for the teal. Let's put it on. Remember, slapdash, no science to it. Look at that, that's coming on good. The white's nice and dry, by the way. And this is a water-based paint. There we go, just slapping that on. Like that. So when we sand this back, some of the white will come through, or some of the teal will stay. Now, it's fairly random, which is what I said before. And when you go and buy your paint, if you're going to do something like this, just get a sample tin. You know, only cost you $5 or $6, rather than going out and buying a full 4 litre job, or a 2 litre or 1 litre, which will cost you about $30 for 1 litre. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Get it on, stop mucking around. That's it. Some paint to the grooves. And the end here. Pretty good. Pretty windy here today, so it's drying really fast. What probably isn't ideal, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Okay, a bit around the edge here. Okay. Alright. Done. Stop painting. Okay. It's all good. Put a bit down there. Now, wet rag. Just wipe it on like that. There we go. Like I said, don't be too fussy. Rag down. That's it. Okay, let's just let this dry, and I'll come back in a couple of hours or so, and I'll sand that back and see what we finish up with before we put the polyurethane on. Might have some lunch. Okay, see ya. Okay, we're back. I had a very nice lunch, thanks for asking. The table's nice and dry, and she's ready for a sand. I'm going to use a combination of the Orbital Sander, the 180 paper, to get the bulk of it off, and then for a finer touch to get around the edges and so forth, I'm just going to use a hand Sandpaper 180 grit. So I'll get stuck into that, and I'll come back when she's all done and show you the end result. Well, there you go. There we have it. I've sanded it back, and you can see I've taken a fair bit off and just left a few bits and pieces here and there just to give it that distressed look. And I've gone over it with a hand sandpaper of 180, and I tell you what, it is so smooth, it is amazing. It's just fantastic. So I'll go over it with a damp cloth now and get her all polished up, ready for the polyurethane. Can't wait for that bit. Okay, we'll come back to you shortly. Okay, it's time for the final two stages, the two coats of polyurethane. The oil-based polyurethane, which is a terps wash-up and not a water wash-up, so just be aware of that when you're cleaning out your brushes and so forth. So I've got my polyurethane and a really good quality paintbrush. So it's ready to roll, it's been sanded back, I've cleaned it off with a nice damp rag and it's just ready to roll. So I'm going to start painting and I'll get back to you after the first coat. And also between the first and second coats we're going to give it a nice little sand with a 240 grit paper. Okay, let's crank up the paintbrush. I've just put the first coat of polyurethane on and it's looking really good. Now there's a few things I should mention before we go too much further. I've used an oil-based polyurethane over a water-based paint. Now generally that's a no-no, as the polyurethane, if you paint over a water-based paint, it can tend to make the polyurethane bubble and lift a little, which can be a bit nasty. But because I've sanded this water-based paint back so far, there isn't much paint there. So I've taken a bit of a risk and put the oil-based polyurethane over the top. The reason why I like the oil-based polyurethane is that it's a harder wearing polyurethane over the water-based polyurethane, and also the oil-based polyurethane also over time just tends to yellow a little bit, which can kind of age things, which is what I want for this. I don't want some brand new pristine looking table. I want it to look old, which I've also used a satin here as well and not a gloss, because I do want to give that aged sort of look. But if you were to paint this a solid water-based paint first, covered by a polyurethane, I'd definitely use a water-based polyurethane over the top, just to prevent that possible bubbling effect happening. Alright, I've got 6 hours to waste. Just got to sit here and twiddle my fingers and wait for this to dry. So I'll see you in 6 hours time, and we'll give it a light sand with a 240 grit, put the last coat on. Can't wait. Alright, I'll see you then. Okay, it's 6 hours down the track. I've just had some beautiful creme de veal for dinner. That has got to be the best meal of all time. Anyway, the table's dry and it's ready to be sanded. So we'll just have a bit of a look at it. It's come up really good. I'm really happy with it. This is the first coat. What happens is when you paint a polyurethane, the first time you paint it, when it dries it brings up some furry bits, which is why we need to sand between coats. It's nice and dry, it's looking really good, and I'm just about to give it that sand right now and put the second coat on, and I can't wait to see it tomorrow morning. So I'll catch you guys then. See ya. The wait's over, it's all done, it's finished. I've even had a shave for the big unveiling, so things are looking up. So I'll just wander over to it and have a bit of a squeeze. I'll just cover your eyes up so you can't see. What a surprise. So just bear with me for a sec. Stop looking. Hang on. Surprise! Here it is, all done. My rustic, beachy kitchen table, all finished. All done over the course of a weekend, using just some old recycled timbers, and at a cost of about 75 bucks. 25 bucks of that was for the polyurethane and 30 for the paintbrushes, and the rest just for odds and ends. And I'm absolutely stoked. I think it's turned out really well, and it's a beautiful table that we can admire and use for many years to come. And I don't know about you, but after a hard couple of days of toil, think I deserve a beer. Put the feet up and have a nice cool one. Cheers. Oh yeah, and by the way, my crappy old video camera doesn't really do it justice, so I've taken a few photos which will give you a clearer view of how it really turned out, and I'll put them up after you see this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next project. Cheers. Hang up before you go. If you thought that series on how to make a table was useful, could you please, I'd really appreciate it, if you could subscribe to my channel, Shane Conlon 1. What should I do, Billy? Subscribe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Subscribe? Okay. Like, thumbs up. Do the thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, that's it. Share or comment.
Comment.
Comment?
Yeah.
Comment. Okay. Much appreciated. See you next time. Cheers.